Hey everyone, I'm Robin Gully.
I'm John Justin.
And we are your Ward 2 council reps here to give you the council recap.
Yep.
On the fly. We didn't even talk about this.
No, we're going to see how this goes. Gift of gab.
So we started out with open council work session where we had a great presentation about open to business.
Yep.
And it was by Natalie. Yep.
Natalie.
Sorry, Natalie.
Thanks, Natalie.
And she did a great job
Yeah.
and has worked with a ton of businesses in the community to help them with things like expenses. They have small business grants.
Yep.
It's all in the packet, so I highly recommend that if you have a small business, they have money, they want to help you,
Yep.
Go and check it out. And
Come talk to
learn
the
more
city.
about
We can refer you. We can help you figure out whether it's going to work for you. We really want to do it. So please take advantage if you can.
Yep.
Annapolis street reconstruction. So two things, of course, on everybody's list is the worst intersection in all of West St. Paul, or at least very close to the title if it's not, which is the Charlton Dodd Annapolis. We took a look at the votes that had come in the open houses on the survey about the three different plans. That's all also in the agenda if you get into there. Option C seems to be the leading one, which will square it off, turns Dodd so it doesn't enter on the south side into the intersection. And when I was at the open house, that was the one that seemed clearly preferred by the people that were there as well. So we're moving forward on that. There's also some sidewalk on the very east end that we have to take some consideration about because there's a fair amount of disruption for a couple property owners and some difficulty in grade and stuff like that. So we'll be talking about that one more, but mostly things are just moving forward. The process is continuing and we're trying to answer the questions that we need to answer.
Yes. 3 members of our environmental committee came to talk about an emergency climate emergency resolution,
Yep.
Which was great. The council was strongly in favor of passing the resolution.
Yep. And that'll come up next meeting, I believe. We'd be joining currently 16 other cities that range from St. Paul to stuff in the north end of Minnesota. So a pretty wide range of people that are kind of tackling this. And so we'll be presumably voting on it next time around.
Council meeting.
Yep.
And then we jumped into the council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a recognition of
Dave Moats
from South Robert Business Association.
15-year president of SRSBA, and he is moving on and passing the title over to Katie Lowe from the YMCA. And we just, it was a recognition of all the time and hard work and 15 years of service. So, yep.
And then we had a recognition of Women's History Month, which is really important.
It starts tomorrow.
And then we had, we actually didn't have any citizen comments today. So council comments were, among other things, thanks to Dodge for Winter Fun Fest. Everybody was really excited and had a great time. I know my kids had an awesome time at Winter Fun Fest, so thank you to everyone at Dodge.
I, as always, was working at my store because Saturdays are not my day off, unfortunately. I wish I'd been there, let me tell you. So
yeah.
And then I did a little shout out for don't put your garbage cans in the street because the plows will hit them and throw them down the road. Nobody wants that. Just a little reminder. And as I said, hopefully a reminder for next year, because if it snows again to the point where we have to plow, I'm just going to not leave my house for a couple days. I do not like the winter. I never have. I'm born here. I've never liked it.
Speaking of that, the mayor also put out a plea to everyone to please move your cars when there's a snow emergency. Yep. We really, really don't want to tow people.
No.
And it's just impossible.
Yeah.
It puts the city in an impossible situation when folks don't move their cars and we can't plow.
Yeah, and sometimes it's useful to mention that I know that the perception can be different. The city is not making money off of towing your vehicle. We're losing money probably in the time of staff and all of that stuff. So there's no lucrative side for us, and we feel terrible when it happens. And the mayor did a great job of mentioning, like, you can be putting somebody in real hardship, so we just don't want to do it. So
right.
But it's tough. We try to message as best we can, and we'll keep trying to message as best we can. But
he did give a shout out to our snowplow drivers who will sometimes literally go out and knock on doors to try to get folks to move their cars so they don't have to tow them. So I want to say, like, our city staff goes above and beyond, and we are really lucky. But
agreed.
Let's try to do our best to be kind to them as well. We have an open house coming up on updates to Thompson Avenue and Oakdale at the Wentworth Library, March 9th from 5 to 7. Mm-hmm. You can come and talk about how you want Thompson and Oakdale to be better in the county. And then we're still taking applications for Parks and Rec.
Correct.
So if you are interested in applying for the Parks and Rec commission, please come.
Yep.
Please submit the application online. It really doesn't take very
looking
long.
primarily for Ward 2, that's ours, and Ward 1, Ward 3 actually I believe has 4 members, so we need to fill those Ward 2 and Ward 1 spots. And then the only item that was actually on the agenda was the final reading of the storage facility limitation, which is going to take the area in which storage facilities can be built. First of all, define storage facilities, because we just didn't have a definition, because it's not something that probably existed when we were talking about it. It's kind of a more recent development. Storage has become a bigger thing. And it limits it. It is an area where you can put it, but it kind of greatly limits it to one area kind of right over by 52, because we don't feel that the best, highest use for the areas we have in not only, commercial, but particularly industrial. Mm-hmm. The thing with a storage facility is it does not employ, it employs very few people. If you can put light industrial in an industrial zone instead of a storage facility, you're talking good jobs, lots of jobs. And so we wanted to walk into a situation where we can promote that side of things instead of putting something up that does have tax revenue, but doesn't fill the other things that we're trying to promote. So,
speaking of best use for our city, we then went into the Economic Development Authority meeting where our big conversation was around the Thompson Oaks redevelopment.
Yep.
We've been working with a developer for the last several months to try to come up with a plan that works for that site. Essentially, we had asked them, they had a particular plan for townhouses. We had asked them to think about doing some twin homes, some single level stuff. They came back with a plan. Do you want to talk
with
about
some significant change in the economic impact to the citizens of the city and the city as a whole? It would create a much larger tax abatement ask, and it would lower the valuation for future tax revenue. And so if you want to know my opinions, I made them pretty clear in the meeting. I won't reiterate them here. But what we ended up doing is eventually we got back to the point where we're going to stick with the plan as it originally got to us, and then staff's going to discuss with the developer if there are some tweaks and changes and maybe some possibilities that don't have that kind of fiscal impact. And then we'll see what happens from there, but that's where we're at right now.
We live in a city that it's 5 square miles,
Yep.
and we don't have a lot of space left for development. And so it's really important that we do have these deep discussions about how we best manage the development opportunities that we have. And we're really grateful that the developer was willing to sort of work and try to come up with a concept plan that we'd be excited about. And of course, we were all disappointed that it didn't work out the way we were hoping it would. But if you want to see the whole discussion or weigh in on it, please go ahead and watch the EDA meeting and watch that discussion.
Call us up, send us emails.
Let us know what you think. That's it.
I think that's it. That might be a record. We made it under 10 minutes. Maybe we should never think about this ahead of time and just wing it every time. We're faster.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.